Hey guys, and welcome back to Okami. Shit is officially hitting the fan right now. We have a slew of murders by an evil demon named, well, Evil Rao. Not the most original demon lord name, but she quickly went Naruto Ninetales mode or some shit and buggered off to Oni Island, so I guess we've got our destination now, don't we, Rich?
Indeed we do. We need to make it to the Watcher's Cape. And we get to hear giving Kushinada a ride again, and this just makes me so insanely happy.
Oh, it takes on a whole nother layer of epicness right now, and I'm going to slap myself after we finish recording for ever saying the word epicness. It's a dirty word, borderline slur nowadays on the internet.
Oh, I know. Now, since we are on our journey to go and find Oni Island and take it on once and for all, do you want that story time with Richie now about Rao, since we now know the truth about her?
Oh, more than anything, mate, go for it.
So, Rao herself is based on the Japanese legend of Happy-Yaku Bikuni, or the 800-year-old priestess. This story is about a young girl who accidentally eats the meat of a mermaid, and when the girl reaches adulthood, she stops aging and becomes near immortal. However, after marrying many times and outliving all of her family, she becomes a nun. After embarking on many pilgrimages to other countries, she returns to her home village and hides herself away in a cave to die. So, that's all happy.
So that's why she was down the well and not just, like, I don't know, in her shop or something?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that's ultimately why she ends up dying inside that well. Which is just like, oh. But then, from the start, anybody who... I did mention this at the end of the last part, actually. In Japan, Rao's name is Suzurao, which, if you understand Japanese, it's a pun, because it hints at her true identity, because it's a pronunciation of Suzura-o, which is the Nine Tails, when the Kunyomi pronunciation is used. On the other hand, the kanji phrase is more commonly known by the Onyomi pronunciation, which is Kyubi, which is what most people have heard Nine Tails be. But also, Suzura-o is the pronunciation for 99 Tails. So, yes, that's all fun. And what's fascinating is that even though Rao is actually the Demon Lord Nine Tails in disguise, Army can still use Bloom to make her pet her. And reacts to everyone else like an ordinary NPC. So basically it was just all part of her elaborate act.
So, do we ever find out when the original Rao died in the game? It just says, like, oh, the body must have been here for a while.
Yeah, we don't know. It must have been... Well, it would have been before the Emperor got taken down by his illness.
Yeah, of course.
But it's some random point before that, and I will go story time again with the whole Tamamo no Mei narrative, which is also linked to what Rao did with the Emperor and so on. But first off, we need to break through that barrier and make it to Oni Island.
Let's do this shit. Huh?
So, yes, because Otohime is the ruler of the Dragonians, she has, and we have the Dragon Orb, she has the power to transform herself into the Water Dragon.
Well, I hope she's got a successor planned, otherwise this is just going to be one big recurring funeral service.
Well, I think we should be okay, I hope.
Nice. Not as majestic as I was expecting. It's quite horrifying, but it'll do.
I know, it's because it's based on the Oarfish, and those things are freaking terrifying.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. We've broken through the barrier, and we are going to run along the back of Otohime to reach Oni Island.
Well, this game doesn't do things by halves, does it? You want an entrance to what is potentially an epic dungeon? There you go, run along the back of a giant oarfish.
Back of a water dragon.
You know what I mean?
Water dragon, not an oarfish. Yes, I do indeed know what you mean. So, yes, it is time to leg it to Oni Island.
Damn, man. Look at this shot right here, goddamn.
I know. You can tell why this is the climactic sequence of the act. Because it just, everything screams final dungeon. This is not the final dungeon of the game, but it is the final dungeon of the act, and just... oh, it's brilliant.
I'm really curious. Wow, I got dark all of a sudden. I'm really curious to see how Act 3 plays out. Because you haven't been giving it its dues. You've been kind of putting it down, saying Act 2 is the best one. And let's see. Let's see.
We will indeed see. I will once again reiterate my point of Act 3 is arguably the weakest in terms of the chunk, like the chunk of time between the beginning of the act and the end of the act. Obviously, its finale is out of this world, because it's the end of the frickin' game. But I would just say because it's a lot more downbeat for the majority of the act, it just brings it down. But yes, to get to the castle on Oni Island, we've got to go through this bloody moat of lava.
Well, it seems kind of a non-issue since we've got this little doohickey attached to us right now.
Well, this is true, but we've got to properly swim through it all, because obviously we can't use lily pads, because they'll just melt.
Yeah, true. Hang on, how did that one boat survive in Super Mario Sunshine? Doesn't make a lick of sense.
I don't know. It never should have survived, but somehow it did, because magic, I suppose.
And come to think of it, shouldn't like every bit of water that comes out of flood in that area just dissipate instantly?
Yes.
Just dry up.
Yes, well, I mean, to be fair, the second Mario enters that area, he should just melt.
Just explodes, like that's what happens in the beta version. Oh no, game over.
I mean, really what would probably happen would be that he would set himself on fire. Because if you're in the vicinity of stuff that is that hot, then it'll set you alight, I believe. But as I've said before, I know some science, not all, so don't entirely trust me on that fact.
I'm not asking you to go all fucking Carl Sagan and explain how video games work in regards to real life physics. It's fine.
Yeah, be a bit of a difficult one. Anyway, whilst we work our way up to the keep, Tamamo no Mae, as I said in the last part, I believe, was legendary fox spirit. In the story told by Hokusai, formed in the Edo period, the nine-tailed fox first appeared in China and possessed Daji, concubine of Shang Dynasty's last ruler, King Zhu. She enchanted the king and brought upon a reign of terror that led to a rebellion that ended the Shang Dynasty. The fox spirit fled to Magadha of Tianzu, which is ancient India, and became Lady Kao, concubine of the crown prince of Banzoku, who was based on the Indian tales of Kalmashapada, the man-eater, causing him to cut off the heads of 1,000 men. It was then defeated again and fled the country. Around 780 BC, the same fox returned to China and was said to have possessed Bao Si, concubine of the Zhou dynasty, King Yu. It was again chased away by human military forces. The fox stayed quiet for some period, then she appeared in Japan as Tamamo no Mae, the most favoured courtesan of Emperor Toba. She was said to be a most beautiful and intelligent woman, being able to answer any question asked. She caused the emperor to be extremely ill and was eventually exposed as a fox spirit by astrologer Abe no Yasuchika, who had been called to diagnose the cause of the emperor's poor health. A few years later, the emperor sent Kazusa no Suke and Miura no Suke to kill the fox in the plains of Nasu. In 1653, Tamamo no Soshi An addendum was added to the story describing that the spirit of Tamamo no Mei embedded itself into a stone called the Seshuseki. The stone continually released poisonous gas, killing everything that touched it. The stone was said to have been destroyed in the Nanboku Cho period by the Buddhist monk Geno Shincho, who exorcised the now repentant fox spirit. He held a Buddhist memorial service after the deed, allowing the spirit to finally rest in peace.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful.
Yes, so very important story. And now we have the Blue Ogre and the Red Ogre, which are...
Yeah, I was wondering when you were going to get to these fellas.
Basically, as soon as my narrative was over. These guys can be a bit frustrating, because you can't hurt them head-on, because of those massive stone masks. The only time that you can hurt them head-on is if you have got them to stun themselves, which they do by ramming into walls and all that sort of stuff. You can break their masks, but it requires a lot of damage, and it requires you to get them into that stun animation. And what gets really frustrating is when they end up stuck in each other, and it's just like, for God's sake. And I would say it's definitely recommended to use Veil of Mist, because that way you are able to get around them and actually attack much more effectively.
I love their designs. They're like centaurs in a way.
They are really cool designs. They're just really annoying bloody enemies to beat.
Well, you know, every game's got to have some, I suppose.
Indeed. And I think... Yeah, there we go. We broke his mask. Success.
Nice.
Annoyingly, we don't have his floral finisher just yet. But that is coming, don't you worry. And yeah, I was just like, I will try everything to get a floral finisher on you, but I don't have it yet.
Well, you should have signed your name, mate.
That would have been a fun idea. You know what? I might take you up on that offer a little bit later in the walkthrough.
Interesting.
But first, we are going to go all around the outside of the keep here to make sure we've picked up all the treasure chests.
Ah, yes, but it's on 100% run after all.
Indeed. Although I was just like, I thought there was something there, but there was not. And it was just like, oh. But there is something just there, so we will be heading to grab that, I hope.
I'm interested in that red glowing thing over there. What the hell is that?
The red glowy thingy, that is Otohime still putting her head through the barrier.
Ah, okay.
So I think she's decided that she's gonna stick around until we're done. But that's gonna be incredibly painful, I would have thought.
Yeah, let's hope the strain doesn't cause her to die as well, because one, water dragon I can deal with as a stain on my conscience. Two, I think it's time for Sudoku after that.
I think you mean seppuku.
No, I know exactly what I meant, mate. It's called a joke. Jesus Christ.
I mean, I'm all down for a game of Sudoku, but it's not a way of committed suicide.
Jesus. But did you watch Countdown back in the day as well?
Teeny tiny bit. Like, I don't have that many memories of Countdown whatsoever.
I don't know why I'm trying to insult you with that. It's a fine show. You know, just not really my cup of tea.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think I have watched a couple of episodes of 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown, and that's quite funny.
Love that show. Yeah, so what we got here, mate?
Here we have Oni Island, and as you'd expect, there are Oni on this island. Because you have imps in terms of the merchants, so you can buy a load of stuff, because obviously you weren't really going to be buying anything elsewhere. So if you want Infinity Stones and Exorcism Slips and so on and so forth, I would recommend buying a few, because this is a relatively long dungeon. I mean, you basically, this part and the next part add up to about an hour and 10, an hour and 12 minutes long.
Is that the whole dungeon then?
That is the entire dungeon. So, It's quite a long one. It's very much in the same vein as the Moon Cave in that respect.
That's fun. I mean, you know, it's the final dungeon of the act, so it should be long.
And it is actually a really fun dungeon because it's obviously so heavily based on like proper well, I say proper Japanese architecture. Everything in this game is based on proper Japanese architecture, but it's like based on those classic Japanese castles that you see in like samurai films and all that sort of stuff. And also there's a whole bunch of fascinating mechanical elements in this, which you wouldn't necessarily expect. And right now I think I was just going, let's just make sure I've got all the enemies, because I'm pretty sure that there are a couple that are missable.
Ah, okay.
I'm not 100% sure on that. Somebody in the comments did actually mention that there were, I think, 1 or 2 enemies that are theoretically missable if you, when you go into the Emperor's Garden, when we went Minish Cap. I think it was 2 of the mirror enemies, and I think the same is true in here. So, effectively what I was doing right now was just going, let's just make sure that I have got everything, because otherwise this could be incredibly embarrassing.
Well, it's a nice opportunity to take a look at the gorgeous artwork for the enemies.
Oh, I know. I mean, we'll be doing a proper run-through of all of that a little bit later. I think also part of what I was doing was going, what are those guys' floral finishes? Because sometimes the bestiary does give you a hint as to what the floral finishes are, because it tells you what they're weak to, and then that is your key to figuring it out. Sometimes they just don't, which is really quite annoying, because I would have liked that to be something in-game, but then I suppose they're trying to make you figure it out for yourself, so that's totally fair.
Nice jump there, mate.
Thank you, because it's probably one of the only decent jumps you're going to be seeing in this dungeon.
Well, I'm preparing myself now.
Yeah, there are some truly awful ones coming up. But something else that's actually quite fascinating about Oni Island is that there is a demon slip that is hanging about here, and he's called Toby.
Aww.
And actually, you are going to form quite a strong bond with Toby. You may not think it. It's a slip of bloody paper. But he really is... He's a highlight character in this dungeon. He's amazing. Love Toby. So, the 4 kanji that are on the slip read, in English anyway, mind your body, preserve your life. And his Japanese name is Hayato Bimaru. And ultimately he's based on Japanese amulets, because they're used for luck or protection purposes, and are usually dedicated to Shinto deities, as well as Buddhist figures. There are various types of Japanese amulets, one being known as omamori, which are the more paper ones that ultimately Toby is sort of based on. He's more based on the prayer slips that Rao made use of. But yes. Now, this is where you're going to be seeing lots of terrible jumping, because ultimately what you need to do is you need to make it through this area before Toby, and obviously it's a bit of a challenge because that can happen. Thankfully, the game is relatively nice in that if you struggle after numerous occasions, it will give you more platforms to jump on, so it gives you easy mode without being a massive dick about it, because obviously there are some games which, if you end up using easy mode, prevent you from completing things because you had to do it, and sometimes I feel that's unfair. Other cases, hell yeah, punish people for taking the easy route out. But this is the type of thing where these challenges are actually quite difficult.
But are they fun? That's the main thing.
Oh, definitely fun, but some of them are just really, really difficult because you're not given a huge amount of space to manoeuvre.
Alright, what's Toby got up his paper sleeve now? Sorry, I could have figured that one out better in my mind, I think.
I believe you could have done, yes. But I believe what we've got now is time where we are going to potentially... Well, I think we have to duck down and climb back up again. So these do get progressively more difficult. So you do have to be very, very on it. Obviously, if you drop to the bottom there, you will have to use catwalk to get all the way back up. But it's not too bad, that one, actually.
Were you just waiting for Toby there? Because you just seem to, like, stop every time you finish.
Well, I think it's because I'm just going, right, do I need to go back through? Have I missed anything?
Oh, okay.
It's basically me doing my thinking process of, have I got everything? Is the guy telling me I've got everything?
Taking inventory.
I can breathe. And also, sometimes I'm just going, oh, this is too much, I just need a breather. Because some of these races, I think this might be one of them, actually, can be quite an annoying challenge. Because they require very precise jumps and movements, and some of the corners are very tight, and as you can see, I got stuck behind there, and yeah, got to fall down the hole and start again.
Oh, well, that's what you get for getting into a race for a piece of paper.
I know, annoyingly it's too quick, and the thing is that you need to take your corners very quickly and jump at the very right moment to be able to get through this, because otherwise Toby will beat you, and so he's no slouch. Like, Toby can actually be a proper challenge. But, I mean, he's not the worst challenge in this place, no, that is held by a rather very cruel enemy, who we will be seeing later on.
What, this part or the next one?
Can't remember.
Oh, well, that just heightens the suspense.
I know he's coming because I would say that it's easily one of the least fair moments that Okami has to offer. Because while it is possible to avoid said enemy, yeah, this bit's a particular annoyance. I'd say this is probably one of the more challenging rooms.
Especially since he doesn't have to do the motion of walking upstairs, he just glides up, which is not something, like, I tend to see happen in video games like this. Like, inanimate objects will always mimic, like, the character you're playing as, for the most part.
Exactly, whereas Toby's just like, I'm a flying piece of paper, bitch. I'm gonna do my own thing.
Bitch, it's Oni Island, not play Fairsville, alright?
So yeah, the way that you should really tend to do this is try and start off running, because then you've got a much stronger chance of keeping going. But yeah, you're going to see quite a few failed attempts here, because as you can see, it's a freaking annoyance.
Well, you could have cut them out, but then again, they expect you to go around corners not knowing where the wheels are in relation to you, so yeah.
Exactly, and I'm pretty sure I did end up cutting out a few after a certain point, because...
Jeez, man. Doggo going at extremely high speeds very fast.
Yeah, I was just like, I'm just going to bullet it, and then lost it at the last moment. I was just like, oh, for God's sake, that would have been a really epic win, because I booked it, and it was going so well, and then I couldn't see anything, and then it was a disaster.
Take whatever.
And the other annoying thing is that you lose health every single time you fall into the hole.
Oh, jeez.
I just find it to be particularly unfair, And also because, like, seriously, I was just there.
Well, should have timed your jumps better, mate.
I know I should have done. But it reached this point I was just like, no, I'm going to have to use a holy bone because I'm not listening to that beep, 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 beep. We've gone through that conversation before, but I felt the need to bring it up again because it's so annoying.
Well, you know. Come on, mate, you can do it. I believe in you. I believe... Oh, no, actually, no, I don't believe in you. I take it all back.
Yeah, that was one of those. It was just like, no! Don't do this to me. But thankfully, that was the winning run.
Don't you hate that when you're recording and you've had a load of failed takes, but the take you have to use, because it like auto-saves or something, is like a really sloppy one?
Oh, I know. Oh, that's irritating. I mean, I will say, when I did The Wonderful 101, loved that game to pieces, but because of how you unlock certain members of The Wonderful 101, those cutscenes, once you've unlocked them, don't repeat. So, in order for me to get a decent run of those chapters, because I wanted to get platinum, well, I think I wanted to get platinum straight through, although I can't remember whether I did achieve that in the end. But essentially, if I cocked up at any point during that chapter and died, I had to like basically reload the save data, because otherwise I wouldn't have that cutscene again. So I kind of had to accept, if I got the platinum, I had to accept slightly sloppy, because it was just like, because that game can be difficult to get platinum ranks on. So yes, this is, like, Oni Island is really fascinating because you've got the races against Toby, you've got rooms like this with lasers going everywhere under the frickin' sun, you've got challenging battles. It's a really fun dungeon. And also, quite fascinatingly, there's also going to be 2D segments in this dungeon.
What, no digging stuff, I assume, because we're done with that now.
Oh yeah, no digging, but we are going to be platforming in 2D, which will be quite exciting. I mean, I would say probably, of all the dungeons in the game, this is probably the most diverse, because there's so many different things that are going on in it, and it's really quite fascinating.
Well, I see you changing the layout of the floor and whatnot.
Well, I think more what that one does is that it creates a safe path back through the room if you wanted to go back through it. I don't know why you would. Suppose if you had missed one of the chests or something. But yeah, this is... I think you can technically get through this a lot more easily if you use Veil of Mist, but obviously, no, I'm a reckless soul who needs to do this challenge properly, apart from until this point where it's just like, haha, no.
Oh, if you do it at the end, that's the only thing they'll remember.
Exactly.
Golden Gate.
Tom, we are not that close to the end of the dungeon.
I wasn't implying anything about that, but it's going to be an important battle, obviously.
Well, yes, we have a mini-boss against the Blue Cyclops. And this is actually a really cool variant of this fight, because you have a mixture of water and fire. So you can theoretically put out his pipe, and therefore cause him to go Super Saiyan Pipe Man.
Hey, man, don't harsh his buzz.
But what you can do is you can use the fire that is located in the arena to relight his pipe and prevent him from going into that mode, which allows you to beat him a lot more easily.
Well, damn, yeah, you tore him apart. In fact, you're tearing apart a lot of the enemies in this place.
Yes, it's because by this point in the game I was a master of the combat. It has nothing to do with the fact that Okami is actually quite an easy game in terms of its combat. And yeah, it is. Like, really, you should not be having any trouble with the battling in Okami.
Well, don't difficulty shame, mate.
Well, it's because there is only one difficulty in the entire game. And I would say that it is easily quite accessible. There are some battles which will prove a challenge, but most of them you should be fine with.
Right, so there's been others, have there, Toby? I thought what we had was special.
Now, this is a sneaky little challenge. Don't quite do that one, but you can theoretically... Well, you can't fully go ahead. You've got to reach a certain point, because you need to, blow up that wall. I think when I was running down this corridor, I was just like... Oh, I need to blow up the wall before I can finish the race. No, it doesn't quite work like that. It's very much more... You've got to get through the door, then you blow it up. But, either way.
Alright, is this the 2D section you were talking about? Obviously it's in 2D, and there's platforming, so I would assume so. Answered my own question there, never mind.
Actually, no, this isn't the 2D section that I was referring to.
Ah, well, shut up then, Tom. Why are you even in this commentary? Go away!
I will say that there are a few 2D sections, but there's one bigger chunk in particular that I was referring to that you will see soon enough.
Interesting. These things have long since lost their luster, I think.
To be fair, I will never get sick of the lockjaws. They're just quite fun, no matter how they turn up. And this is a dickish chest.
Yeah, I don't think even I would fall for that, honestly.
I know, it's just like, why? Thankfully you can hit it from the side and it's all good, but it's just like, for God's sake. Really?
Alright, what awaits us past this loading screen, eh?
Well, we have a statue.
Yes, I can see that. Pretty impressive. Looks... Oh. Oh!
Is it sunk in yet?
It's a tiger. So I guess we could possibly get a new brush power? It's coming soon, maybe?
It's coming imminently.
Lightning Tiger! Oh, that's so boss.
Indeed. It's just awesome.
Look at this shit. Oh, that's cool. Oh, because obviously you can't see the stars through the veil of Oni Island.
Exactly. And so, this is our penultimate brush god.
Wow.
Yeah, we are so very nearly there. And this is Gekigami. And Gekigami is amazing.
He's pretty cool.
Also a bit of an asshole, but that's beside the point. So, Gekigami is the god of onslaught, because the Geki means attack or assault. It's actually quite likely to come from the phrase Raigeki, which means to be struck by lightning.
Ah, yes, I remember that Yu-Gi-Oh card.
What's also quite cool is that his stripes are shaped like lightning bolts.
Yes, that's cool. Yeah.
And, as I said, he's one of only 3 brush gods to attempt to attack Army. One of them being Yumigami, who was D-Rabbit, and we haven't met the other one. So that's going to be fun. And obviously he is the tiger in the East Asian Zodiac. What's quite cool is that, so with relation to Thunderstorm, which is the power that we have got, there's a more powerful variant of this move that we can unlock. And when it is used, the kanji Jin appears, and that means swift in English, but the thunderstorm is called a Jinrai in Japanese, which means thunderclap. So that's quite awesome.
This seems like a very situational brush power, I've got to say.
It is, but it's a very satisfying one, and we will be getting... And that was just ridiculous. But as I said, we will eventually be getting a power which... Well, an upgrade to the brush technique which allows us to use it more regularly in battle.
Ah, okay, that's fine then, that's fine.
But I would say that of all the brush techniques, it is probably the one... It's one of two that probably sees the least general use in standard battle. But it's still fine, and it's still such an awesome brush technique.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm so close.
Oh, Rich. Oh, Richie. Please join us next time for the second half of Oni Island.